After talk, we now want to make time and talk about CDD's annual Kronti Akwamu lecture, which comes off tomorrow, Thursday, at the Sweet Spirit Alisa Hotel. Well, this year, the lecture will deliberate on the issue to reflect on what critically needs to be done to advance and ensure women's inclusion in decision-making level processes. The lecture will also offer key and constructive recommendations that will inform radical reforms towards inclusion of women and other groups for the development of Ghana. And in the spirit of this, I have Rhoda Osei Afo, who is with the CDD. She's actually team leader for elections, rule of law, and anti-corruption. So the right person, according to the theme for this year's Kronti Akwamu lecture. Good morning, Rhoda. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
I see that this year's very special. Why is it special?
Well, I mean, first of all, let me just say that for the Kronti Akwamu lecture, we are always looking at the opportunity to do some kind of introspection on our democratic processes so far. We all know we've made some progress, but of course, we also know that there are some challenges. And women's representation in political structures is one of the weakest points of our democracy so far. And so after 26, 27 years, it's very important that we provide some reflections on what has been done so far, where are we, what accounts for progress or the lack of progress that we've made up to this point. So essentially, these are some of the reasons we want to engage on this particular topic. And then, of course, you would also reckon that earlier this year, I think just some few months ago, we had quite some interesting public debates following the president's own perspectives on what he thought accounts for women's underrepresentation in political processes. So we feel that the environment is quite ripe for us to continue the discourse on this very subject.
Yeah, and obviously also because election 2020 is just around the corner, we have the assemblies coming up this year. We are rooting for DC
election of MMDC.
Exactly. Yes. So this is right in place. But we also have an amazing speaker, don't we?
We do. Professor Tachua Manu is a very distinguished scholar and a development practitioner. She's a lawyer. She's worked with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Locally in Ghana here, she's held various positions at the University of Ghana, and she's currently the vice chairperson of the National Development Planning Commission. So she quite fits the bill. She's also very, very familiar with the topic that we are looking at, having herself been an activist on this space. So we are looking forward to a very exciting lecture.
So what are we going to do with the lecture? I know that you've talked about the guest speaker. Fantastic speech she's going to deliver. I'm sure she's going to hit on the right notes, expose us essentially. But in the end, what will CDD do? I mean,
so the point of this lecture is to stimulate discussions that is aimed towards inviting some kind of democratic reforms. So it's not just about talking, but also stimulating stakeholder discussions on these issues. So we are inviting a cross-section of our stakeholders of the Ghanaian society, from parliament, from the executive, from the judiciary, from across our society, and stakeholders that we believe can also continue to contribute to this discussion and to take the discussion to the next level of policy formulation, because it's just not going to be a talk show.
Okay, you've talked about Professor Tachua Manu. Who else will be there?
The event itself will be chaired by Mr. Kojo Yanka, who is also a distinguished personality in Ghana, the founder and past president of the African University College of Communications, and have also held various positions with Pan Affairs, with the GIJ and other institutions. But beyond these two personalities who are going to steer the lecture tomorrow, we are inviting, I think I mentioned this, key actors from key institutions, parliamentarians, our development partners, from civil society, and of course our friends in the media who will help project the issues to even the broader public.
So how can the person who is watching us, who is interested in participating, take part?
This lecture will be live tomorrow on Joy, but also we'll be doing a live streaming on Facebook we are trying to do a lot of promotion on how people can follow on these discussions because they're very important.
I know that you're also trying to promote an interactive session so people can ask questions and make comments.
Precisely.
And the person who is watching and following on radio, because it will be live on Joy FM, can they also come through with questions?
Yeah, people can come through with their questions, and we'll make room for the moderator, the MC to read some of these questions so that our speaker can also answer them.
Okay, so what time does this lecture start?
Tomorrow at 5 p.m. at Alisa Hotel in Accra.
And this is for how long?
We should be done in 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Rhoda, we can have a conversation after the lecture because that's the whole idea for us to to start a certain conversation, and then we'll see how we push that forward. I know that civil society groups, particularly when election is approaching, try to get a lot of women to participate at least in the elections. But how many are really willing to do it, and how many of us would give them the opportunity if they put themselves up? So we hope that this would actually change some dynamics here.
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Rhoda. We will see you tomorrow. That's Rhoda Osei Afo with the CDD. She's team leader for elections, rule of law, and anti-corruption. You're all invited to be part of this conversation tomorrow at the Sweet Spirit Alisa Hotel. We'll be live on Joy FM at exactly 5 p.m. Coming up next, we had a conversation with our friends at Prostat 60. They are back with your follow-up. Stay with us.